Welcome back, folks. Episode 22 of Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly. And Hilly, we're back at it. We're fucking back at it.
See, that'd be wicked. This would be wicked to put it in.
See? What rust, boys? What rust?
Ladies man, but I'm unhappy now. For courting 6 girls all at once, they used me.
Bye baseball.
My mother said it was naughty.
It's only
But I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very fun.
And the Lolly drops his glove, grabs Dalton. The benches are clearing.
Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly is brought to you by CoolBet. If you got a few extra bucks rattling around in your arse pocket, CoolBet Sportsbook will double your first deposit up to $200 when you use the bonus code DUSTUP. Head over to coolbet.com and get in on the fastest growing entertainment sector in the world. That bonus code again is DUSTUP, one word, all capital letters, DUSTUP. Welcome back, folks. Episode 22 of Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly, and we're back at it, Hilly. After about 7-8 weeks, however long it was off, we're back recording new episodes. You're fresh off trip down to Argentina with Team Canada. Can't wait to go through all that with you and our guest who's coming on, but we're back at it, and I'm excited.
You said it, man. It's great to be back behind the wheel again. We had a ball tournament, we had a training camp, vacation. You had a trip home to Newfoundland recently, so we had a little bit of time off, but it's great to get going again with the podcast.
Yes, man. It was great to get home, staying at your place, catching up over a couple of cold Miller Lights, talking about all things ball and all things podcast. And we got a great episode to kick us back off with John Stuart coming on with us.
Absolutely. Like we said, we're just back from Argentina. It's going to be nice to get his insights on how that trip went overall. And, of course, we qualified for New Zealand. So I'm sure we'll touch on the road to Auckland and what this season has in store for us.
Absolutely. He's a beauty guy, one of the best coaches you could ever play for. Let's get right into it. John Stuart. All right, Hilly, on your best behavior here, bud. Look at him. Captain of the ship.
Coach, pleasure to have you. I guess we got to say that, dude. We got to say pleasure to have you. Here.
You pretty much got to say that. Yeah, no. Thanks, fellas. I've been looking forward to it. And I know it's going to be a lot of fun. So pleasure to be on with you guys.
Oh man, we couldn't ask for a better guest to come on after almost 2 months off. Excited to get back. You guys are fresh off an exciting trip down to Argentina, which we're going to get into. But the hardest thing about getting you on is knowing where to start, Stewie. There's so much we want to go through, but there's a lot of topical stuff. We're going into a huge year, just coming off one of the biggest events, probably the most anticipated event with all the COVID stuff that was going on. You guys have been training for this one now going on 2 years, getting it bumped back. Almost like you hear what happened with the women's Olympic team and how they had to go overcome that adversity and not knowing whether they get to go and then making the most of the opportunity when they got there. So let's start there. I know that our listeners are going to want to dive right into that trip. We're going to go through all the things that you've done in your career in the game and talk about what's coming up. But let's start with what's on everybody's mind, that trip to Argentina. We'll go to the tournament, but can you take us through the whirlwind of what's been the last 2 years of preparing for this and dealing with all the adversity leading up to getting to go?
Yeah, you kind of nailed it, Lolly. It's been like 2019 in Prague was the last time, we had the national team together. So it was basically 3 years almost. And, like you say, it was put off and COVID kind of screwed everything up for not only us, but for the rest of the world. But it was so exciting just getting the boys together and getting on the plane together, except for Shane Boland, of course. Nobody knew where he was, but he ended up making it. But it was a whirlwind. But let me tell you, it was almost like the first time I put on the national team uniform when we got to Argentina and played exhibition games. It was just really, really exciting and great to get the boys back together. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was almost like putting the jersey on for the first time again. There was a lot of nerves going into this, right? Because, we had a hard 2 years as a country trying to play some ball, and there was little pockets across the country that got some league play in and some training and this and that. But, collectively as a group, we hadn't got together, and we hadn't had that level of competition, in 2 years. So I was kind of nervous because, you follow on the Facebook and the Argentinas and the Venezuela and Mexico, they're playing 12 months a year, pretty much. Right. So going down there, I kind of didn't know what to expect. And we didn't have a very, we were only together. We had a 5 days or 6 days in Florida, and then we had 2 weeks in Argentina. So it's a very quick timeline to kind of get your shit sorted out and kind of get the rust off and get up to speed type thing. Right.
Yeah, and you mentioned Argentina. Not only are they playing, but they're together, right? And we talked about this on Juan's podcast, and he gave us the rundown of how that program has evolved and how they were preparing for this year and this cycle. And that's been the challenge, I'm sure, from the coaching staff, Stewie, since you came on board in 2009, is how can you unite a team that's spread across a country as big as ours and then try and prepare for tournaments that could be in our regular season or could be right in the middle of the off season. So that's a challenge at best, but then it's a challenge even more so when the tournament keeps getting pushed. So how did you approach keeping the team tight-knit, prepared, holding themselves accountable, and keeping the chemistry going?
Yeah, I mean, the best we could do was Zoom calls, constant communication with emails and group texts, just making sure guys were staying fit and getting, even if it's indoors, getting some swings, getting their arms loose. And I knew the type of athletes that we had. And I knew going down there, or I shouldn't say I knew, but I felt that we would make it to the gold medal game. I was going to be disappointed if we didn't make it to the gold medal game. I knew the hitting was probably going to be the point that was going to be missed the most in such a short period of time. And looking back, that's exactly what it was. Our pitching and our defense was phenomenal. And our hitting was just, what can you say? It was, for having only 2 weeks together and being in the winter season, it was the best, we could do. And, it was just one bad inning in that gold medal game that cost us the gold medal. And it's tough. It's really tough. Like you said, that Canada is so spread out, and getting the guys together is hard. So you really, as a coaching staff, we really got to rely on the players being accountable and making sure they're ready. And I knew with the group we had going to Argentina that they were all going to be working their asses off to make sure that they were in the best shape possible.
Now, on those Zoom calls, did you make the boys put the camera down so it's not just shoulders up, right? Because Hilly can fool the best of them, right? With shoulders up, he looks in shape. You got to get the boys to stand up and turn around to make sure they're doing the beep test, right?
Well, especially when he's sending me text all winter saying I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm 190 or whatever it was, and best shape of my life. Yeah, and I hadn't seen him. I mean, what texts are like. It's he could have sent me a text with him drinking a beer, and I would have probably went, yeah, good job, buddy. Look forward to seeing you.
Yeah. And Bradshaw kept booking Zoom meetings like 8 o'clock, like 8 o'clock Ottawa time, Friday nights. Like, what are you doing? I'm at the cabin.
Billy out to Helly Henson with a bottle of Miller Lite sitting by the fire on the Zoom call.
And that's exactly right.
Yeah, just change our background on the Zoom, as we all do it. But but talk to me about getting down there, because the last time you went to Argentina, I didn't go, wasn't there this time. But I heard what?
We went by plane.
Way to go, Hilly. There's some stories about you going on that trip. We'll or the way back, but you're coming from Newfoundland, you're coming from BC, and this thing is down right in Parana. It had to be the worst travel schedule logistically to get down there. So, Stewie, what was your milk run, I guess we would call it? How do you get there?
So for me, and just going back to the last time we were there, 2012 or whatever it was, I said to myself, I didn't say this to anybody else. I said to myself, if we ever have to come back here, I'm gonna be sick or whatever. I'm gonna come up with something so I don't have to come back down. And it's a beautiful area. Don't get me wrong. And Mikey did a great job with all the transportation and everything, but it's just where it is. And for me, Doug Allen and I flew out of Kelowna. We go to Vancouver to Toronto to Brazil to Buenos Aires, and then a 7-hour bus ride to Piranha. 36 hours from the time I left my house to the time we got to the hotel in Piranha.
Ready to go though.
Absolutely ready to go. Yeah.
And Hilly, you had just as far the other way.
Yeah, pretty much. It wasn't so bad going down for me. I didn't find, just because you're excited to see the boys. You're full of piss and vinegar. You're excited to get going and get back on the field. We actually had to stop in Montreal before we got to Toronto. I think Brancho said the flights were $10 cheaper or something to go through Montreal. So we went through Montreal and then met all the boys there in Toronto, and then to Sao Paulo. But the only thing is the bus ride. That was the thing I was dreading the most.
And that's funny. That's what I enjoyed the most, because the bus is beautiful. It's got those reclining, lazy boy seats, and I enjoyed the bus ride the most, actually.
See, I would have dreaded that. See, Hilly, he's sitting back loving it. But I remember.
But I tell you, but on the travel part, on the way back, I'll just tell you, we left. And I don't want to complain too much because the RG boys do it all the time. But we left 5 a.m. We left our hotel Monday morning, and we landed in St. John's 5 p.m. Tuesday evening.
Yes.
So that was our and it's only half an hour time difference from Newfoundland to Argentina.
Because the trip home, right? Like you say, going down there, you just met up with the boys after a long
so bad,
time.
yeah.
You're going into a tournament. Adrenaline's going. All the potential of what could happen over the next week. I always looked at it that way going down. That you're on the plane and you say, in 10 days' time, we're going to be coming back, and we don't know yet if there's going to be a gold medal around the neck. But then when you get on the other side of it, even with the gold medal on your neck, that's a bitch of a travel plan to get back, right? So it's a lot of sacrifice. We talk about playing for the national team. There is a lot of sacrifice going down there, time off, and just the wear and tear of traveling down there. But once you got settled in, what were the accommodations like? What was the buzz around there? Because I'm sure I speak for everyone who tuned in to these games. It seemed like at the ball field, it was one of the most electric atmospheres I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, the facilities, the hotel was great. It's the same hotel we stayed at last time we were there. Great food, casino there. Rooms were good. Zero complaints about the accommodations. Piranha is a beautiful little city. We're right on the river. And it's, about a 20-minute drive to the ballpark via the bus. But the facility they have in Piranha there, they did a bang-up job, I'll tell you. It was electric in there. I've heard rumors from, 8,000 people to 12,000 people in the stands. And it's definitely not a hostile environment, but it's an unfriendly environment because, there's 10,000 Argentinians there rooting on their boys, and it's crazy. But the people there were super respectful of us. They wanted pictures, they wanted pins. There was no animosity or hostility whatsoever towards any of our players or the team in general.
That's awesome. And that Argentina has that reputation as a classy ball country and team, and their fans are just that, very respectful, but they're passionate about their team winning. And I think one of the best things that you're a very perceptive coach, Stewie, and you knew how devastated Hilly would be, to go on that trip and not have me with his roommate, and it was very wise of you to put him with his dad, John Hill.
Well, I'm going to tell you this little story about the first night we got there. And Les Howey Pale and we walk into Johnny and Jason's room there, and I don't even know what something. Johnny said something or something, and Jason said, "I'll throw you right out that window, old man." And Johnny said, "You can't take me yet." And Pale and I are just kind of high-fiving, going, "Right on, we got this going. Let's get it going a little bit more." And Johnny, what do you think of this? I don't know, man. I got my money on you, Johnny. And Jason's like, that old man couldn't lift my beer or whatever. It was good, but actually, Lolly, it was weird, whether it was in regards to you not being there or what, but like smiling face, up bright and early, bushy-tailed.
Here we fucking go.
Jesus Christ.
Just a pleasure to be around. It was really odd. So,
well,
am I getting
what can
ranked
you
there?
say?
Am I getting punked?
He would have been grounded if he wasn't on his best behavior, having to go back with Dad. But no, that's wicked. I'm talking to all the boys about that trip. It was pretty special to see you guys come together like that. But Hilly, when you got geared up to go to the first game and now the blood's pumping, what was it like going into the ballpark from a player's perspective, and specifically when you played Argentina in that first round robin game? Just walk us through that one.
Yeah, well, just to get to the park and you feel the buzz, you see like the place is vibrating, right? Like you said, like remember we had that podcast with Juan.
Yeah.
And he said, were you in Argentina last time?
No, I wasn't. But...
So, I mean, there had to be 5,000-6,000 people down there at that time. And then remember Juan said, since they won, the popularity became, it started getting more popular and the kids were getting interested in this and that. And I bet you the final game, there was 8,000 or 10,000 people there. Had to be.
Yeah.
Had to be. And it's like, to me, it's like a soccer atmosphere. They got the drums going. They got the flare guns and the smoke going and the chants and just singing and all this stuff. Like it's pretty, like I sat back and like last time I was down there and I was super nervous. Right. And I was just I didn't give myself a chance to take it all in. And we were just trying to get down there and qualify and stuff, which we did, which was all good. And once we actually qualified this time, I kind of just, we got to that final game and it was probably the least nervous I've ever been in a gold medal game. I just I caught myself a couple times just looking around, like looking at the stands, looking at the people going mad, the passion. And there were some fans that were like, like we got teammates that play for Argentina and their wives or girlfriends are down there and they're like, hey, Hilly, hey, Jay, like stuff like that. Like just kind of soaking it all in, man, taking pictures and all this stuff. But
any alligators down there, Hilly? Any alligators running around?
I never seen one.
No, that mascot not running around. Very good. He must have been put on probation.
He wasn't there. Mason was on to look for him. Yeah. But yeah. Clary kept checking around his circle, but he never showed up.
No, very good. Stewie, Hilly just mentioned that once you got qualified and going into that gold medal game, the nerves kind of subsided. From a coaching perspective, going into the championship game, the gold medal game against the host team, what are the nerves and all that like from your perspective going into these big games?
It's weird. I talked about this with my family, probably last summer and for me, the nerves and the anxiety is always before the games. The night before, I can't really sleep right before, but once the game starts, it's a weird, I'm not nervous at all. I'm calm. Well, I'm sort of calm.
Yeah, that's not how I describe it, but
but no, I don't worry about anything because I think that I've run through it in my mind in different scenarios. Okay, if whoever's starting, if he can give us 5 innings, if he can only give us 4, this is what's going to happen. Whatever the case may be, you kind of look at every scenario, and I think, and don't get me wrong, I know I've come across sometimes as maybe being a little rattled or a little pissed off or whatever, but for the most part, the plan is already in place. Now let's just go. And like your dad, Jason, and I always say, it's you guys are the ones that are going to get the result. Our decisions and putting lineup together is done. Now it's up to you guys. Yeah, we can make some little subtle decisions during the game that may make a difference, but for the most part, it's up to you guys. So for me, the nerves and the stress is all in the prep the night before and leading up to the first pitch. Yeah,
and I would never look at you ever since I've known you and ever seen you anything close to what would look to be rattled, but fired up is the way I would describe you at times, and that's pretty cool to see, Hilly, when Stewie gets on a mission like that, whether it's about talking to the umpires around illegal pitches or anything really. What's that?
There's 3 things. There's 3 things that I love watching the most in Faster Softball.
Let's see it.
Number 1 is Ian Fairman get out.
Absolutely.
Preferably strike out.
Yeah.
2 is the Steve Mullally get hit by a pitch.
Oh, fuck.
And preferably when I'm on deck. And 3 is John Stuart blow a gasket at the umpies. It's those moments in the game you just stop everything and watch.
Well, I was watching, I'm not sure what game. I think it was the championship game. And me and Teddy are sat down. And it was a legal pitch or something. And then the camera turned over. I said, oh, here he comes. I said, Teddy, watch this, bud. Here he comes. That's the coach. That's John. Give it to her, I said. Right? And he's come marching out. But you walk a really thin line of not holding back your message, but not overstepping where you'll take the focus off the game, do anything that would embarrass the uniform or hurt the team in that game. Is that something you're conscious of when you're going out to have those discussions or arguments of knowing where to come up and draw the line?
Absolutely. I mean, regardless of you're in Argentina with 10,000 fans or in Cologne or Saskatoon with 100 fans, anytime I come out to the umpires, I don't want anyone in the stands hearing what I have to say. I don't want to embarrass them personally. I'm not going to say I haven't got personal with umpires before, because I have. But at the end of the day, I know they're doing their job. And half the time it's to protect a player from getting kicked out. It's more important for me to take the brunt of it. And at the end of the day, I in all my years of coaching and having some disagreements, I'll say, with umpires, I don't have a bad relationship with any of them now, because I will go up to them the next day or the next night and say, are we all good? It's all good. It's just part of the game. And if I have crossed the line, I'll say, I'm sorry about that. I believe in being a big enough man to say I was wrong there. And honestly, Lolly, I've gone to the umpires before and said, hey, the only reason I'm out here is to protect my player. I said, I want this to look like I'm giving you shit, but I'm not saying nothing to you. I said, because you got the call right. I'm just here protecting my player. And we'll get into it a little bit. I'll walk away like I'm pissed off at the world. And the only people that know what we talked about is me and him.
That's cool.
Huh. So next time you go to battle for me on the field, I got to go to the umpire and say, what did he say?
Yeah.
Because I know I'm right. So what did he say?
In a Team Canada the national team uniform, I've been tossed once. And guess who that was because of, Lolly?
Jason Hill.
Yep.
In
Dominican.
Guaranteed.
In Dominican. He lost a gasket and got suspended, rightfully so. The call was absolute horseshit. So the next game, I think it was, he's up to bat. And I mean, the strikes that are getting thrown to him, he was absolutely right again. They were just ridiculous. And he was about to blow a gasket again. And I thought, okay, well, if he gets tossed now, it's 3 or 4 games, because he's already been suspended for 1. So I go get into it with this umpire. I push Hilly out of the way, and I'm like, I'm giving it to this guy because he deserves it. It was absolute horseshit. And of course, I got tossed and I got suspended for a game. So the very last game we played in Dominican, I was in the stands.
Really? All because of this fool over here.
All because
here's your list of 1, 2, 3 of what his favorite things seen in the game. Guaranteed, top of the list is Jason Hill getting mad at the umpires when he's wrong. When he's right, there's a different level of swagger behind his argument. But when he's wrong, he takes it to another level because he wants to win. At least he wants to do is win the argument, right? And it's wicked. So Hilly, top of my list is you losing it at the umpire.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they should do. I think if somebody could do a video or a GIF of Jason Hill after a bad call up to bat, just his facial expressions when he looks back to the umps, it would be outstanding to music, because there's nobody better in fast pitch that has the facial expressions and the look that the ump gets when there's something that Jason thinks is not a good strike.
Exactly.
Well, I'll tell you what I tell the umpires. You know what the problem is? My eyes are too goddamn good.
Here we go. Well, we got Lucas and Nick, boys. We'll start working on that GIF of Hilly there at the umpires. But anyway, let's bring it back to let's go to that championship game, guys, and then we'll wrap up the Argentina portion of this episode. You get on the field, you're going in electric. It's pretty well who you geared up to play, and game got off to a pretty good start. But Stewie, take us through the game from your perspective, and what it was like. We all know the result, but what was the game like What did you see, and what did you take away from it?
Yeah, like you said, we got off to a good start. Bradley hits that home run, and Sean was 9 up, 9 down. But I got to be honest. I mean, even watching Sean in warm up and the first couple innings, maybe not the first one, but the second and third, to me it looked like his legs were really getting tired. He had pitched a lot, and I'll put that on me. I probably gave him a couple of innings more than I should have. But I know Sean, and I know he needs to work to be at his best. But and then that one inning, I don't know if it's ever happened before where Sean has had back to back off of him, and it was just time. So, and we still had chances. But to be quite honest, in my opinion, and it's up to us to prove me wrong or prove the world wrong. Matta in front of that crowd, I honestly think he's the best pitcher in the world. I really do. I think he's definitely beatable. We did that, and I think once we have all our batting lineup together and get some reps more than just 2 weeks, I think we're gonna see what the real Team Canada batting lineup is.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Hilly.
Yeah, sorry. No, I was going to say, we fully expected to be there in the gold medal game, and we fully expected to play Matta in front of a full house. And, I was super impressed with our pitchers all week, especially given the time of year. And I don't even want to make excuses about the time of the year and this and that, because, it is what it is. Every team had shit to deal with over the last couple of years. But, I chalk it up to one bad inning, and it's even hard to call that one bad inning because, Sean Clary is so good that, you hit 3 home runs off Sean Clary. Well, that's the caliber of hitter that you're facing. So it's not necessarily a bad inning. It's just the way it goes in this game, right? I feel like us, Argentina, like I compare it to Chiefs, Gremlins, Chiefs, Twins, Gremlins, at any given day, you can beat each other. So it's hard to say it's even one bad inning. It's just that we got beat out by a better team on that day. And,
we all know the momentum and different level of intensity it is playing in front of a packed stadium at home in a gold medal game. We went through that in 2015. We'll touch a little bit on Stewie's experience in that in a little bit. But Hilly, from the batter's box perspective, stepping in against Matta in that game, what did you see from him? You're getting up there, and like Stewie said, he's one of the best in the world, and he's pitching at home.
Yeah, well, I'll take it back to the game before. We played him in the round robin, and mind you, what time that game starts, Stewie? It felt like midnight. Yeah. I think it was like 1:45 we got off the field. Yeah. But for us as a team, I think not just me. For us as a team, I think the bats were a little bit rusty starting off. We played 4 or 5 exhibition games. We had some inter-squad stuff. But to be expected, I think the bats were a little bit rusty going in. It didn't take long, for the bats to get going. I know some of the averages weren't up to snuff to some of the guys that were in the lineup and stuff. But that's, to me, it was all to be expected. But facing Matta under the lights that first night, it was probably about as hard as I faced a pitcher in years.
Yeah.
To me, he was throwing gas. It was under the lights. He had 8,000 people cheering behind him, and it was tough, I got to say. But, it was one of those games. I think it was 0-0 till the 6th inning, maybe the 7th inning. We scrapped away, and I think we ended up scoring 4 runs.
Awesome ball
in that game.
Yeah, it was an awesome game.
Yeah.
And
great ball game. But then we faced them again. Now, this is probably 5 ball games later, maybe. We probably played 5 ball games in between, 5 or 6, before we got back to the final, and we faced them in daylight. And you could see from 1 to 9, you could see the difference in the swings, the difference in the at-bats. You weren't chasing so many pitches. You were drawing walks. You were grounding out. There was less strikeouts. Like, you could see it, right? You could see it happening. So, yeah, I mean, it was what I expected, to be honest, to answer your question.
Yeah. So, well, it was unbelievable to watch. It was great. It was a great show. So, but that was a qualifier, right? It was a Pan Am Championships. There's a gold medal and a ring on the line if you win, but it's a stepping stone to something much bigger. And it was to prepare for what's to come in New Zealand. So what, where's the benchmark that you're at now, Stewie, in your mind, from where you want to be come November, and where the program is and the team is right now, and what's your expectations of the group between now and November, and when the team is finally picked?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just looking forward to the guys having a full season, without COVID, playing as much ball as they can this summer. We're going to name 10 initial players rather shortly here once we finish off our criteria that Mike Brancho's putting together and Softball Canada. And we'll probably name 10, I believe. And then we got 6 spots left where we're going to watch, probably 10 or 12 guys pretty closely this summer, and pick the guys that maybe not the best player, but where they're going to fit in the team, what we need. Do we need a middle infielder? Do we need another outfielder? Do we need to add another pitcher? Whatever the case may be, we'll build it from there. But to answer your question, I'm just excited to see these guys have a full summer of tournament ball and good weather and no COVID restrictions where they can get out there and play. And, the focus for us is, getting, basically the Canadian Championships in Newfoundland this year ends on Labor Day weekend. We're hoping, some teams in Newfoundland can play some exhibition games once their league is done as late as possible, weather permitting. Same with out here in BC and Saskatoon, Ontario. If we can get our guys playing as late into October as possible, to have as little time off as possible before we go to New Zealand. And one of the cool things when we head to New Zealand early is we're going right to Palmerston to play in that tune-up tournament, which is 6 of the best teams in the world: us, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Czech, and Argentina. That's going to be going to be unbelievable prep. So
absolutely.
Do you guys have a schedule or a list of events that you're, as a staff, are you scouting this summer? Are you going to like ICs, a couple of invitationals, or?
Yeah, the first one I'm going to Kelowna this weekend. That's
right.
Usually the the icebreaker one. Other than the weather's the shits right now, so I'll probably go to a couple of days out, see some of our guys that are here, just check out some ball if the weather's okay. And then the first tournament I travel to watch and scout is the Hill United tournament in end of June there.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to that, going to the ISCs and nationals. The whole staff is going to nationals, of course. And then, with John Hill and Elsie on the circuit, they're going to see lots of guys and be keeping an eye on guys for us. And then we're, even if I'm unable to attend or another coach is unable to attend, we're going to be talking to area people that are maybe interested in going to do a little bit of scouting for us as well. So, it's going to be as much hands on decks as we can throughout the summer. And yeah, looking forward to just some good weather and some good ball and making some really tough decisions come Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. Well, you're probably going to have your best showing, especially with that Pan Am coming in the off season. You're rolling into preparing for the Pan Ams, which were in March there, and then getting geared up for the season. I was just in Newfoundland. You can probably tell by the smile on my face here, Stewie. I just got back from Newfoundland last week. I was home at Hilly's place and brought Teddy home and won a hockey tournament. No big deal. Yeah, just went home with the boys. Called the Coors Light Cup down there, and me and the boys from my hometown and a couple of guys who played with took it home. Had 3 goals, a couple of assists.
No big deal.
Yeah,
no big deal.
Might be in the paper. I'm not sure. Probably tomorrow's paper.
Nice.
But we took that down. But I got a chance to go out to the facility where they run the Avalon Wave program, and Hilly and Sheldon Keogh and Loyola Power and the guys that run that had these guys out there, the Canada Games kids, hitting. What a place to prepare, and I know there's other facilities like that across the country. So you couple that with an off-season high-level tournament, going to Florida before that, rolling right into the busiest ISC season we've had probably in 5 years in terms of the amount of tournaments being played. You're capping off with the Nationals in Newfoundland, which everybody's going to be geared up to go to. And then you got a month and a half off, 2 months to go there. So I think as a coaching staff, you're probably going to have the toughest decisions because the best showing is going to come up this season, which we can't wait to see. That's all on the radar coming forward. Let's take it back a little bit because it was –
Not going back to 07. We're not going back to 07.
Well, you can't bring it up now and not go back. I guess I was going to go back to 09, but you friggin' press rewind there on the VHS. I think we got to go back a couple more years. But
yes, it was VHS too back then.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
All right, Stewie, we'll give you your due here. We just talked about an upcoming Nationals in Newfoundland this Labor Day, but you had a pretty special Nationals in Newfoundland. I still wake up sweating and yelling and flipping out. 2007 Nationals with the Grey Sox in Newfoundland. How special was that for you?
Well, it was my first Nationals and first Nationals winning, and it was unbelievable. Just not only the whole tournament and winning, but just the province and the friendliness of the people. And honestly, I'm for this Nationals coming up, I'm bringing my wife because I want her to see Newfoundland and just check it out. We're going a few days early, and I'm really looking forward to it. But getting back to 07, it was really special because it was my third year as a head coach of the Grey Sox, and we went with a all BC roster, and we picked up Corey Grew, who had 07 for him winning the ISCs. He won everything, and he was just the man in 07. And we picked up Chad Ghostkeeper, and we had our local guys. Nick Underhill was there, and Mason, of course, and Schellenberg. And it was getting to that final. I'll tell you this, though. I think we were playing Kitchener in the semifinal, and we were up 4-1. And Undy was pitching a great game, but he was starting to get touched up a bit. And I thought, okay, I gotta do this now before something happens. And I pulled him and I put Guru in. And this is kind of like the fifth inning, something like that. And I thought, you know what Undy's like. He's the Hulk, and I thought he was going to rip my head off in the dugout. He was so mad. We had to go behind the dugout and talk. And but at the end of it, it was good. It was all good. We we set out, and that game was just phenomenal. I mean, I remember us going up 1-0 on a hit and run with Rob Giesbrook on first base and Doug Kane hitting one to the fence. Bottom of 7 comes up, and I remember Blair hitting the double, and I grabbed my jacket over my mouth and just yelled as loud as I could, "Fuck!" and then the next thing it was that quick that one bouncer back to Grew at the mound. Blair got caught in a rundown. Get him at third. So now there's one out with the guy on first. Can't remember who that was. But then one bouncer to Mace at first. He tags his bag, throws to Shelley. Shelley lays down the tag, and it was over like that. Yeah. If there's one thing I regret is that it happened so fast. I didn't appreciate everything around me that happened. It happened so fast, and the game was over just like that. But what a crowd. I mean, you guys tell me. I heard 5,000 to 7,000 people there. I don't know, but I do know that I put a nickel with a beaver up behind home plate. I buried it behind home plate earlier in the week. I don't know if it's still there or not, but
it's going to be dug up pretty soon here. I can guarantee you that. If it's still there, it's not going to be there for long.
Well, and then taking the boys down to George Street and having a good old time and getting on that flight home. But it was the first time a team from Vancouver, now keep in mind Victoria had won Canadian Nationals, but the first time a team from Vancouver had won since 1966. So it was, quite an honor to be a part of that. And it was quite a thrill for sure.
Oh, perfect. Anyway, boys, you can cut all that shit out. We'll go on to the next topic. I was the one who chopped it to Mace to hit the double play in the game. Yeah, I didn't know if you were just being nice there or not, or you legit don't remember.
Oh, I forgot. I thought you were the guy on first. I thought you were the guy.
No, that was Darryl Walsh.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, Hilly, you you chopped it and I dropped it, and that's all she wrote, right? That's,
shit happens.
Shit happens. But we're hey, the way I looks at Hilly, we're better off because of it, bye. No, man. It was devastating, Stewie. From the other end of that, it was absolutely devastating with the team that we had, and we'd never won one at that point, and you felt like you had the whole weight of the province and expectation, and you guys came out and put up that great game.
Yeah, and it was probably 95, I think, was it Senior Nationals last time in Newfoundland. So there's 12 years in between. Well, we didn't, for all we knew, it wasn't going to be back again.
Yeah.
Right.
But Stewie, you hear about the passion of the fan base and the players, and just how enthusiastic people are in Newfoundland about the sport, and to come from the complete opposite side of the country and come down and see that, I'm sure it was special for your group just to be around that.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Just the sights and the people, and there was, and I want to say his name was John as well, but he was from Newfoundland, and he hung around our games. I was talking to him all week, and he asked me for my Grey Sox pullover after the game. I gave it to him. I don't know if it's still around or if not, but the fans were spectacular, and the sights. And I remember playing a couple of exhibition games, not at the main diamond, but I remember I think there's a dome or something behind.
So that's at Lions Park. So that's the main diamond now this year.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm super excited. It's been 15 years, and I can't wait. We're going down a few days early, and going to stay at Lesson Jones for a couple days, and then get into St. John's. I'll be at all the games, and my wife will probably be out shopping and seeing the sights.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
Well, you bring up Les Howey, Pale. You guys are thick as thieves and been to the war and back, but he's a character. So I'll ask you point blank, what's the most annoying thing about him? And then what's your favorite thing about him?
The most annoying thing about him, I mean, it can't just be one. I gotta give you three things. Like, for one, every morning he wakes up and he bitches about now keep in mind here, okay? Keep in mind, I thought about this lots when we were in Argentina. Other than my wife, I've spent more time in a bedroom in a room with him than any other person in the world.
Yeah.
And he gets up every morning and he bitches about my snoring. And it pisses me off because he makes it sound like he doesn't snore. Well, the most annoying thing about Les Howey is when he says, I'm going to bed, he puts his head on the pillow and he is out. He's snoring now. He's out. And I'm 2 hours. I'm tossing and turning for 2 hours every single night. But no, I love the guy. He's like a brother to me. It was when we met in 2009 in Saskatoon, we hit it off, and I consider him one of my best friends, and we stay in touch. And he's a lifelong friend. He's like I said, he's like a brother to me. I love him, I don't know if I could do this without him on the staff. It's just been great having one of my best friends with me on the staff. So
yeah, and he's a character too, Hilly, but he's he wants to win, don't he?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. He's going to be coaching with us too with Galway this summer. Yeah,
it's special having him around there, man. He's one of a kind, and it makes playing on those teams fun. And you just mentioned back in that 2007 game, because you are a player's coach, but you bring that level of respect and accountability, but you build really strong relationships with your players. And Nick Underhill would be a good example of that. But then you're the guy that got to make those tough decisions. Does that weigh on you with the decision needs to be made? You know it needs to be made, but you have such a strong relationships with some of the guys that may not like the decision that needs to happen?
100%. It weighs on me hard. And it's things like that, whether it's a guy you got to pinch hit for, or he's not in the lineup in a big game, or you got to make a pitching decision. And I'll tell you, the toughest one I had to make was in Melfort at the Skins tournament there. And we were up, I think we played, I can't remember if it was SoCal or Broken Bow, but I think it was SoCal. And we were down, and keep in mind, this is a Skins game. We were down 6 Cobb in the first inning, and Mike Piechnik was pitching. And I had to walk out there and yank the legend, Mike Piechnik.
Yeah.
But man, he was a professional. He got it. He was not pissed off. He got it totally. But that's something that weighed on me big time. And we came back and we won that game. We won the rest of the inning. So we won that game 7-6 with just by winning the skins. But anyways, it hurts me. It does. It's like it's like hockey, for example, being a hockey scout. You know, it's one thing I've always said is that I'm going to be very, very honest with people, and they might not like the honesty, but as a person and as a parent and as an athlete, a coach, I think the most important thing is communication and honesty. And if someone takes my honesty to heart and doesn't want to have a relationship after that, then that's okay. I've got enough friends. I really do. The ones that mean the most to me, they get it, right? And they understand it. We can talk about it, and I can explain to them why I did it and the reasoning. And 99.9% of the time, people have been okay with it. So like I've said to people is, if I'm going to be very honest with my own kids and be harsh on my own kids, you know, why can't I be harsh to my friends or to athletes or to people I'm coaching or scouting or whatever the case may be? So to me, honesty, it's brutal honesty, and you may not like it at first, but it's never ever personal with me. And communication and honesty are the two key components to, I think, being someone that gets respect.
How different is it, or if it's different at all, coaching, say a club team, say like or an IC team or Canadians team versus coaching a national team? Like, is it different or?
Oh yeah, it's drastically different. I mean, you know, when I was coaching the Grey Sox, you know, we went to 5 or 6 tournaments, flew all over the place, and you're basically trying to make sure that your sponsors, and we had great sponsors with the Grey Sox and Conrad Margolis and Larry Kantz. They did a lot for us. My big thing was I wanted to make sure they were happy, and with results and how we perform not only on the field but off the field, and with class and dignity, and be respectful of others. And for me, when we won that Nationals in 2007, I was more happy for the players and for Conrad and Larry and John Malko was our general manager, who did a great job facilitating everything. I was more happy for them than I was for myself. And the comparison there is you're in clubs, it's a real small niche when you're coaching a club team, because you got your friends and close buddies and the fast pitch lovers that follow a team or follow you to these tournaments around Canada and the United States. But when you put on that maple leaf, all of a sudden you've got people that aren't really fast pitch fans. Yeah. They're now curious, and they're now going, wow, I had no idea you were the coach of the national team. That's unbelievable. And to me, it really is unbelievable where I came from and how I became a head coach of Team Canada. It's really bizarre to me. It's like smoke and mirrors and fake it till you make it sort of thing. And but it is totally different, Hilly, to answer your question about coaching the national team. I don't want to say pressure, but there's a lot more eyes on you with the national team for sure.
Yeah, well, let's dive into that a little bit, because we talk a lot about the player's journey from minor ball to trying to make a jump to represent your province and then get noticed on the ISC to work your way up to win and make the national team. From a coaching perspective, was coaching Team Canada one of your goals? Was it a road that you were making steps to get towards, or was it something that kind of just evolved naturally for you?
It was never, I remember being in the beer gardens in Squamish tournament, and I remember CBC had on, I want to say it was the 99 Pan Am Games. I think it was 99, and I believe it was in Winnipeg, and it was on Winnipeg, CBC. Yeah. And we had a TV in the beer garden watching it, and I just thought, for me in my career, I was basically a senior B player. I had my opportunity to play senior A back in 85, 86 when I was 20 years old. and my work schedule wouldn't allow it to play with the Regents, I believe it was at the time. And so I just stayed around my hometown, and I ran. I didn't start playing fast pitch till I was 16. I was a baseball player, and once I got into fast pitch, I loved it, and then started playing. And then 5, 6, 7 years into it, I took over my own club team. We put some all-star teams together that would travel to, we used to have an umpires all-star tournament in Vancouver every year, and we were showing some success. And we made an all-star team out of Squamish that traveled, and the Greg Gardner GM Fastball Club. And we started playing. They resurrected the Northwest League, and it was nothing like the heyday, but there was some good players and good teams, and guys were coming over from other countries to play. And we did that. And then anytime I got a call from Conrad or Larry to come down to Vancouver to bring my team down, whether New Zealand was in town or Japan or Denmark or whoever that was coming through town, hey, would you guys be willing to come down and play these guys? And every time, absolutely, absolutely. So I kind of played and ran that team. Doug Allen and myself ran the team and played. And it's hard doing that. And then I kind of, in 2002, I was asked to help a good friend of mine, Rich Hagan, who's since passed, coach the junior team in BC. And we went, and it was being hosted in Vancouver. And we went right to the gold medal game. Derek Mason's brother, Brian Mason, was on the team, and he was Kevin Schellenberg was on the team. And we went to the gold medal game. We lost in the gold medal to Scarborough, I believe. Scarborough or Jarvis. And then went back to just my club team. And then 2004, I got asked to coach the BC team again. And myself and Patty McCarron coached that. Yeah, I took him to that. And then I got a call that summer from John Malka and Larry Kantz, and just say, would you be interested in coaching the Vancouver Grey Sox? And I'm like, whoa, this is a little bit more of a commitment than I'm used to. And so, talking it over with the wife and stuff, and took that on in 2005 and coached them till 2009. But my big break with, I met Smitty, Mark Smith, in St. Thomas in 2005, I believe it was.
Okay.
And just met him, and for some reason, we hit it off, and he liked me. And actually 16 years this weekend, I was invited to a camp in Kitchener, May long weekend. It snowed.
Yeah.
It was cold. Were you there, Lolly, for that one?
I was up to play with Aurelia River Sharks. I wasn't invited to the camp, but I was up in Ontario at that point, and I went down and just sat in the stands and watched the camp that year.
Yeah, so I was invited by Smitty to be, support staff and come out. And that was the first time I ever got to put on a Team Canada uniform, number 55, and I'll never forget it. And then in 2009, I think it was, 2009, Smitty invited me to Saskatoon as a support staff, and got to meet all you guys and be a part of it. And then that winter, Marty Kernaghan and what's his name?
Tilly.
I can't remember.
Ray Tilley.
Pardon me? Tilly,
Ray
yeah.
Tilly.
Yeah, Ray Tilley, that's right. Two great guys were the coaches, and Colonel wasn't coming back for some reason, and because of work and whatever. And at that time, Smitty was gone to the women's team, and Batesy had taken over. And Batesy called me and said, "Are you interested?" I know they had brought Les Hill on. I think actually Colonel was the one that couldn't come back, and so they asked Les to come on board, and Les went on board. And then I think Ray Tilley, short time later, said he couldn't commit to it, so that's when I got asked. And and then it just kind of evolved from there. I was my first camp was in Florida in 2010 as an assistant coach, and moved on from there.
Is there such thing as does Vancouver have a team now? Like obviously it's not the Grey Sox. Is there like leagues close to you now, or like where does Mason and all these guys play? Yeah,
there's a league out of Vancouver. It's been going on for decades. It's called the Connaught League, and it's good. Okay. It's anywhere from C ball to B ball, and even some D ball. But they put on an icebreaker tournament every year. Yeah. And so that's one of the leagues. And then the Island's got a couple of leagues. Kelowna's got a league. But from back in the day, Hilly, there was, even when I was still playing, there were so many leagues. We had a great league in Squamish. There was Moody Park. There was the the Hill League, South Hill League.
Yeah.
There was Newton and Surrey and Quickle. It just, it's gone by the wayside, unfortunately. But no, there's no senior A out here whatsoever.
I think I could be wrong, but I thought, 2 years ago when we were supposed to host nationals here, I thought Vancouver was the host city the year after. So do you know anything about that? Like, is Vancouver hosting next year, senior men's?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I heard
could
that
be
too,
wrong
though.
on that.
I heard that too, but when it comes to those tournaments, there's rumblings all over the place. But it would be a pretty cool place to go play, because when you go there for the May Days or the Kelowna tournament, and we got to play there. It was in Vancouver when we played on the way to go to New Zealand, right?
We played in Vancouver and Kelowna.
Yeah, both of those places, and it's an awesome environment to play in. Great fields, the fans come out. So if there's ever opportunity to get to go and play out there, a lot of these tournaments do get clogged up in central Canada.
Yeah.
Right? And it's good to see it going back to Newfoundland, and it'd be great to see it go out to Vancouver. But if we go, you just touched on when you went to 2009, and then you got brought on with Batesy and the staff, and that's when we went to New Zealand with one of the most talented teams coming off of, that was every 4 years, right? That was a long 4 years between losing at home against New Zealand in that go to the final game, and we got a bronze medal. But 4 years later, we get to go down there with one of the most talented and prepared teams we thought to come up short and finish in fifth. And then you fast forward to, I'm not sure if it was October or November, Stewie, of 2014, with the Pan Am Games and the WBSC being hosted at home, and you get the nod that you're taking over the team with 7 months to prepare. What was that whole thing like for you?
Yeah, and it wasn't that I was just taking over the team. It was it was an interview process, right? And I remember my interview. I believe I know Mike Brancho was on it, and I know Sean O'Brien was on it as well. And just the interview, I can't remember who else. Harvey Stevenson might have been on it at that time, but I can't remember. But I wanted it. I wanted that job. I really did, and I was really shocked when I received the email in October of 2014 that Batesy wasn't coming back, and I didn't know what to think about it. I didn't know if a whole new staff was going to be coming on board, and then went through the interview process, and I got it, and then it was just like, holy shit, we got to get things going here and planned, and I took a lot of notes and a lot of mental notes, and just from my time as an assistant coach on things that maybe I would do different, and things that bothered me. And I'm sure you guys remember that first meeting we had in, I believe it was in Kitchener, in April of 2015, when I said there's going to be three things, guys, here that are going to be very prominent with me as the head coach. And the first thing I said was swagger. We got to get our swagger back. And one of the things that pissed me off about international ball and the national team was, and I told you guys all this, as a group and individually, that, I know you're buddies with all these guys, but when we go there, they want what we want, you guys. And you can say hi and stuff like that, whatever, but I don't want this love fest. I don't want you guys having beers with them. This is about us. This is about Team Canada, because they'll step on our throats. And we have to have that mentality too. And I want the swagger back. I want it when we walk into that park, that we're, like you always said, Lolly, chests out, and and the other thing was honesty. I'm going to be very brutally honest. And the third thing was communication. You're going to get communication. And I believe, as a head coach, for me personally, it's not the same for every head coach, but for me, what I believe in as a head coach, or any coach for that matter, is to have personal relationships with players. And that means keeping in touch with them in the off season. Hey, congratulations, you had your first child. Hey, congratulations, you got married. Hey, how you doing? I hear whatever happened in your life, and more about being friends. And that's one of the biggest things I think I can take as a coach, is that I'm going to have friendships after the game, after the game's done for me and for the players, that we'll keep in touch. And I think it's very, very important to have that relationship going forward. And that was one of the biggest things, get to know the players. And the other thing was you guys are adults. You guys are adults.
Most of us.
Most of you guys, absolutely. Go have your beer. If you guys can't monitor yourselves as national team players, knowing that you're at the top level that you can be at, if you can't monitor yourself by going into the beer garden and only having a couple beer or not being there for the reason that I want you to be there for, then you're in the wrong place. And so I'm a firm believer in that you guys are adults. And the second thing is that really head coach is, to me, that's not my title. Okay. And what I mean by that is a coach is someone that's trying to, I think, develop players and adjust things. And you guys are the best in the world. I wasn't about to come in and go, hey, Lolly, I think you should take your bat off your shoulder or maybe lean the bat on. That's not about, you guys are there for a reason. Go do what you do. Have fun. Hey, we're always going to be here. The coaching staff's going to be here with video, with a one-on-one talk, with a group talk, if you want, just in a year. I've had many players, many adult players from the Vancouver Gray Sox club teams to even national team players where I've had one-on-one conversations with them, and we've both had tears in our eyes because of what's going on in their life. And I think it's very important as a person, as a human being, to have that relationship.
Yeah. And well, it's unbelievable to hear you go through that. We get to go along with you on that, but it was received very loud and clear. And from the player's perspective, 7 months out going into a tournament like this, and there's an announcement that the coaching staff, the head coach position has changed over. For all of us, finding out that you were awarded that position, it put a sense of calm and excitement in the group. But then to see that put into practice was really cool. And the swagger part, it's it gets you pumped up as a player. Well, folks, we've been involved in a lot of tough games over the years, and after those we like to debrief with an ice cold Miller Lite. With its great Pilsner taste and only 90 calories and 3 grams of carbs per serving, after every tough game, it's always Miller time. Please drink responsibly. I know people listen to this. Yes, we're talking about 2015. Guess what? We are. We got John Stuart on here, and there's so many things that happen behind the scenes. We won't go through every inning or all these games, but there's 3 or 4 things during that, we'll call it 7 months, that you came on and brought us through those 2 tournaments that stand out to me, whether it was perception saying something needs to happen here. And when we got up to Saskatoon, the smoke was going on. And remember, I touched on it a couple of episodes ago, Hilly, when we went down, thought we're going to practice, and we ended up going to that bowling session. And it felt like there was just steam left, like a powder keg was just diffused, or however you want to put it. But was that something that you and the coaching staff just saw something within the team to say, we got to do something right here and right now?
Yeah, it was an idea I came up with, and I thought, what can we do as a group to surprise these guys? And I thought bowling, what's the worst thing that can happen? A guy can maybe twinge his hamstring or something like that. And so I got the coaches together and I said, I want to do this, but I don't want any of the players to know. And they said, yeah, great idea. What can we do? So we booked bowling, and I said, okay, now we're going to draft players. We're going to draft. And I sent out the message, guys, have your ball bags ready in the lobby at 9:00 in the morning, whatever. And you guys had no idea. And we ended up at the bowling alley, and we had a hoot. And I've been around teams long enough that I know you need to get away from that intense atmosphere where it's 24/7, whether it's ball, hockey, soccer, football, whatever. You got to get away from that and just let the guys go, holy shit, this is great. And it was good. It's for me, Lolly, honestly, that bowling expedition was one of the highlights for me, because I knew as soon as you guys got out of the vans and seeing that it wasn't a practice, that it was like, I just knew something had changed right there. And it was great. It was really great.
Yeah.
I think Davey's still made a stretch in the parking lot.
Oh man, the friggin' stretching routine, Stewie.
Yeah.
But he's one of the best. At least you got Adam
Absolutely.
Davies doing it. But the other couple that stand out to me, there's two more in that WBSC. They're in the championship game. One was when you probably heard us talk about it on here a few times, is how impactful and timely that speech you gave when we came in. We were playing defense, came in, get ready to hit, and you brought us all together outside the dugout. And it wasn't an ass kicking speech. It was a let's go speech. And we're all out on the field, but what was going through your head? To just walk us through where you were at mentally at that point of that game.
Yeah, it's the weirdest feeling. I tell you, it's just like, I don't know. I just never had that game in doubt. I don't know why. I just knew our hitters were going to come through, and it was going to take one hit to rally the troops. And, there was obviously, Lolly, your 3 home runs were the key to that game, but there was a lot of keys to that game, like Brandon Horn's hit and Bradley's hit, and just certain little things that happened in that game. And it was special, but I was never really stressed that game. I felt that once our hitters got onto the pitcher, that we were going to break it wide open. And Devo coming in, and I remember him coming in and talking to him. And one of the things I love about Devo is he doesn't give a shit, And I said, Devo, I said, fuck it. I said, we got nothing to lose here. I said, just go out and pitch your balls off. And I said, we're going to come back. I said, I promise you that. And he goes, you got it, coach. You got it, coach. He's always, you got it, coach. You got it.
Yeah.
And I mean, the rest is history. And it's the weirdest thing. I look back on it, and I wasn't stressed about it at all. I never had anything cross my mind as, oh, well, we're going to, at least we're going to get a silver, or we had a good run, but it was never that. It was like, I thought 1 or 2 hits, boys. It was so early in the game that we were down, that I thought we've got a chance here to put some hits together. And we did just that. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was unreal. And then the third thing, Hilly, and I'll throw it over to you, was the pulling of Sean or bringing in Devo, and then the constant communication with him throughout the game. That's a big decision to take out, Sean Cleary, who got us there. And they went up 4-0 or whatever it was. But the guy you're bringing in is, this is the hometown guy. So it's right.
I mean, and Stewie touched on it. Like, sometimes, especially in that situation, as a pitcher at that level, I don't give a shit attitude, it goes a long way, because that's a high intensity, high stress, fuck hometown, we're down 4-0 in the gold medal game at a world championship. Like, that's a pretty big situation you're coming into, right? And were the bases loaded?
Yeah, he walked one run in.
Yeah. That must have made you feel good, Stewie, though, right?
To make, yeah.
You're right.
Actually, if you guys remember, when he walked that guy in, I made Cleary go start getting warm again.
Yeah. Because I mean, but that goes along. I mean, I feel like the worst thing he could have done was start thinking, like, start giving a shit, because
absolutely don't.
Like, you got to go in there and say, I got nothing to lose here. Like, and like you said, it was so early.
Yeah.
And our lineup was so deep, right? And I mean, we got cleanup hitters on the bench. So, like, I mean, absolutely. It just, I had that same feeling. Like, it was so early. We just need that one big hit. It's going to get contagious. We're going to string a few together. We're going to chip away at this. I didn't think we were going to score 10. I don't know. I can't remember who hit a few home runs for us, but anyway.
Yeah. But like, that's the thing, Hilly, because you guys got lots of time to think about this, because you're in the dugout the whole freaking time, right? Sitting down, we got to go out and play defense. Hilly's sitting down eating cheese. He's talking to Stewie about, it's early, a couple of hits, boys. But
we were running out of snacks around the bottom of the fort, and I was getting pissed off, and I was like, "Are we getting more peanuts, or like what's going on here?"
But a couple of things. I mean, Lolly, you look at it, you struck out your first time up that game. Am I correct on that? I'm pretty sure you struck out.
And that was the fourth time in a row against Heine Shannon in 24 hours.
Yeah, and you made the adjustments. And that's all it was just little adjustments. And if you got, just going back a bit, if you guys remember the camp we had, I made it blatantly obvious. We had our pitching staff, and it was basically Donnie Scott or Devo was going to be the next pitcher. And we put him head to head in that camp. And Donnie Scott is one of the classiest athletes I've ever been involved with. He took it like a champ when we took Devo over him. And I consider Donnie a really good friend. We keep in touch. We text a few times a year, but he was the ultimate professional. And who was the first guy to reach out to us when we won the World Championships, or reach out to me, was Donnie Scott. And he took it like a champ, no hard feelings. He got it. And but Devo was that close to possibly not making the team, because he was just coming into his own then.
Yeah, but it's funny it came down to those two guys, because he's the guy I think of. Donnie Scott, now when I look at Devo pitch, I think of Donnie Scott. They're both warriors. They throw the piss out of it. They're great teammates. They're not overly big, tall guys, but there's no one with a bigger heart and give a shit attitude that wants to win for their guys. And that's pretty cool to hear. That it's no surprise that Donnie Scott would take it that way. He's just a class act. But when you see Devo out on the mound, right? So all these decisions, we show up and play. You're the guy making decisions along the way. And so you got Devo out there. We're up now 10-5, and he throws that last pitch. And you're a coach that always defaults to wanting to see the players celebrate and make it about them. But for you personally, what was that accomplishment? What was going through when you saw that third strike go in?
Well, I tell you, it's one of my I framed the video. I stopped the video of that last pitch with the changeup, the swing and the miss, and Jason Sandberg raising his arms over his head. And I talked to Sandy about that all the time. I said, that's my favorite pitcher, man. It's I love that. It gives me goosebumps talking about it right now. But honestly, the first thing that came to my mind, this may seem weird, but when we won it, the first thing that came to my mind is I was so happy for Ryan Wolf. I was so happy for him, because that guy has been nothing but class. He was one of the first guys in 06 to come up to me and make me feel at home, and just one of the best players to ever play. And I was so happy that he got to win a world championship. And then to see you guys celebrate, and the fans there, we all had friends there and family there, and have them on the field with us. I wish we could have slowed it down, and just, I wish we could have had it be longer and had a few more group talks. And, it was just like any championship, it happened so fast, but you know what? That was 7 years ago, and there's nothing I want more than to see, the Team Canada players celebrate a world championship gold medal again. There's nothing I want more.
Yeah, well, it's right around the corner. The work that you and the coaching staff and the support staff have put into this over the last it seems like 4 or 5 years now since the last one. But Hilly, it's an exciting year coming up. Stewie, we were looking so forward to having you on, and we're glad that it's on the heels of a successful trip down to Argentina, setting the stage for the larger goal. Can't wait to see you around the ball field several times this year. But Hilly, what can we say? One of the best guys and a great guest to kick us off back on the dust up.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it was a great chat having Stewie on. Stewie's been with me for my whole national team career, right from 2009 when he cut me from that team. It was great to catch up, and I'm looking forward to the challenge of this season, and to the challenge of New Zealand, and I think we have a lot to take away from Argentina. It was a very successful trip in my eyes, but again, it was a learning. There was some learning done too.
What I think it's going to do, Hilly, is one thing I'm taking away from Argentina for you guys is seeing how close we are. that it's going to make every single one of you guys, and not only you guys, but other guys that may have big years that have the potential to be on the world team going to New Zealand. I think it's going to make everybody hungry that we got some early ball in, and you guys got some early ball in. And I can feel that hunger where everyone, okay, we have to be just a little bit better.
Yeah. And we got the taste of it again, right? You got the taste of that international competition. You're facing the best on best, you're facing the best in the world. We got to feel that, got to experience it again after 3-4 years, right?
100%.
No, that's excellent, Stewie. And hopefully the goal is achieved down there. We get you back on and talk about that experience again. You're the best, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, guys, I really appreciate it. It's always fun talking to you two jabronis, whether it's on this or when I get drunken texts from you guys or videos from you guys. But I look forward to both of you guys having a great summer, very successful, and look forward to having some real tough decisions in September for everyone across Canada to play their best and have a great season and make our job difficult.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Stewie. And this was an awesome episode. And we got Lucas and Nick here and a little bit of Rum Ragged to take us out.
Ladies man, but I'm a man now. For courting 6 girls all at once, they use me.
Bye-bye baseball!
My mother said it was naughty, but I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very nice.
And the lolly drops his glove, grabs Dalton. The benches are clearing.